This week I am reviewing The Karate Kid. So, the gist of the film, you've got this single mum uprooting, moving from one side of the country to the other, with a teenage son who's played by Ralph Maccio. It's a good name, isn't it? Ralph Maccio. But he's not macho, he's weird. And when he moves over to this new place, he don't make any friends, he just makes enemies and gets beaten up by this group of youths. So as he's getting tormented by these youths, Maccio thinks, sod this for a bag of chips, I'm going to learn self-defence. So he gets this bloke, this caretaker bloke, who's a caretaker to the block of flats that they live in. He gets him to teach him karate. And this bloke, Mr Miyagi, is obviously a very wise old chap who's very skilled in these mystical arts from the Orient. And Mr Miyagi proceeds to teach him. He agrees to teach him on the proviso that Maccio follows all the instructions he gives him, without question.
Wait, what do I have to watch?
Remember, dear, no question.
Yeah, but
Right.
And at this stage of the film, you start to realise what an arsehole this Maccio bloke is. Because he just comes across an absolute dick. He's just a really irritating teenager, just cocky, doesn't listen. Oh, I can't stand him.
Hey, you've come to the right place, stranger.
And almost immediately, he starts questioning Mr Miyagi's techniques, thinking he knows better. Admittedly, it does seem that Mr Miyagi's just duping him into doing cleaning and DIY jobs for him. But Miyagi knows what he's talking about. He's the expert.
And not everything is as simple.
Oh, bullshit. I'm going home, man.
And they were a successful film, Karate Kid, so it had some sequels. And Maccio is an arsehole in all the sequels, His character, he never learns. He's just a cocky, arrogant teenager, doesn't listen. Oh, he's an absolute dick. Reminds me of one of my nephews. And when Maccio gets beaten up by these youths, I found myself really enjoying it. Yeah, watching this film, I did find myself questioning myself. Because I was enjoying watching this teenage lad getting his head kicked in. And in fact, it's an odd film in that regard. Because there's a bit where Mr Miyagi, in leaping to Maccio's defence, he beats the shit out of these youths. And they're all still at school. And they're obviously trying to portray Mr Miyagi as being heroic for beating up these kids. When in reality, he should be struggling to get a DBS clearance. Now, even though Mr Miyagi is arguably guilty of assaulting minors, he is a very wise chap. And he does demonstrate his knowledge of the mystical arts throughout the movie series. He's got some great techniques for healing wounds and things like that. And he's always one for a good, a spot of wisdom. He'll drop a pearl of wisdom in there and pop out a good catchphrase every so often. And all that stuff he was getting Maccio to do, the DIY and the housework and that, it helped him get brilliant at karate, which is really clever because bottom line is, Mr Miyagi got all his DIY and cleaning done and all. Yeah. So even though it's called The Karate Kid, for me, Mr Miyagi's the main man. It should be called The Karate Bloke. Because Maccio, what an arsehole.
Hey, this school sucks, man.
I shut out of here.
Sucks.
So, what's my take-home message for you lot about the Karate Kid movies? Don't underestimate the old fella. Anyway, if you like my video, like it, share it, and subscribe. And I'll see you next week. Ta-da!